What's going on, y'all? We got something a little different in this one, cause I mean, there's no basketball. There's no basketball on right now. No NFL on right now. So I just figured, hey, let's check out something a little different. And you know what's funny is that this exact video was actually in my recommended. So I read the title, and I'm like, you know what? Christmas is a couple days away, and depending on where you live, there's definitely a lot of snow in, out in your respective areas depending on where you live. This title is This Will Be the Coldest Christmas in Decades. Let's check it out, y'all. This is by Ryan Hall, y'all. I've never heard of this person, but we're gonna check it out.
Millions of people are about to experience the coldest Christmas of their life, as a historic cold front is about to send a large chunk of the country into a record-breaking deep freeze. On top of that, we have a huge storm forming, and it's going to intercept that cold air just in time for a Christmas-time blizzard. Will you be getting snow? And how cold is it actually going to get? Well, to understand exactly how cold it's going to get here in the U.S., we have to understand where that cold air is coming from. You see, this Arctic blast that's about to sweep over the country is originating from Siberia, which is one of the coldest places on the entire planet. Just a few days ago, it was 78 degrees below zero in the city of Yakutsk. That same Arctic air is about to force its way through Canada and into the lower 48 over the next week and a half. You see, under normal
people can survive in those
cold
conditions.
Air would stay locked in place
78
around Siberia.
degrees below
But a really
zero is crazy.
weather pattern is setting up that meteorologists like to call the Siberian Express.
No, thank you.
This train of Arctic air will be forced to leave the station as a blocking high-pressure system from the North Pacific Ocean gets lofted up into Siberia. This high pressure is going to force the cold air out of Siberia. So
all the cold air comes from Siberia?
The cold air is going to board the Siberian Express and follow the tracks laid down by the high-pressure ridge. It'll follow
it all comes from Siberia,
up through the
y'all?
Arctic Circle.
So it comes from
Canada,
way
and finally,
up north?
it'll chug down past the Rocky Mountains and flood into the central and eastern U.S. Right now,
Really?
we're not exactly certain of how intense this cold air is going to be as it resonates over the U.S. But the GFS model has this big wall of cold air moving into the northwestern U.S. on Tuesday into Wednesday, and then spilling over the Rockies into the plains on Thursday into Friday. Look at all that daggone pink. Entire states in the northern plains, central, and midwest regions of the U.S. could be looking at 30 to 50 degrees below average temperatures during the peak cold
30 to
time period.
50
Then we see
degrees?
that cold air flow eastward as we head into Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And the European model is looking pretty darn similar, but it's
That's
much
crazy.
faster in the
This came
overall
out 2
progression
days
of the
ago.
front. Just look at that literal wall of Arctic air coming in on Thursday. This would be accompanied by strong winds as well, maybe even up to 60 miles per hour at times. This could actually end up being one of this winter's most extreme air masses. The record cold may reach as far south as Texas, with some models showing low temperatures at or below zero across the panhandle on Friday morning. And that's nothing compared to the wind chills.
What?
Look at this. 50 below zero in North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, and Nebraska.
Bro, that
How
is
about
absolutely
-25
brutal.
degrees in Arkansas. And as
That
the
is
cold air moves
absolutely
east, we
brutal,
can see
y'all.
wind chills in the negative teens as far south as into
Goodness.
Tennessee. And with this cold air mass driving
Negative
south,
50
providing a
degrees in,
chilly
like, North
breeze,
Dakota
on
and
Christmas
stuff like
morning,
that.
we could be
That
looking
is
at
brutal.
10 to 15 degree wind chills in northern Florida. Here's a map showing where I think the
Goodness.
coldest air is going to set up from Christmas Eve into Christmas Day. Areas in the cold zone will be noticeably chilly, but the closer you get to the coldest region, we're talking about sub-zero temperatures and a major spike in heating demand that could lead to power outages. So if you're really looking to ditch the coats and get away from that Siberian air, the Southwest looks like the place to be. So we have this huge, historically cold wave of air settling in across
Southwest?
the U.S. just before Christmas. Could you imagine if this had happened last week when that massive storm came through that caused the tornado outbreak in the South? I mean, that would just be crazy. And the models are showing an even bigger storm coming through just before Christmas. You see, our last system was massive, and it produced a blizzard in the north and a full-on tornado outbreak in the south. Another storm is coming just before Christmas, and honestly, it looks very similar to that last one that just went by. The only difference this time is the cold air is much farther south. This means the blizzard will take place farther south, and the thunderstorms will likely be displaced all the way out
Kansas,
to sea. We
Missouri,
aren't really sure exactly how far
Arkansas.
south the cold air is going to make it, though. If it goes all the way down down to the Gulf of Mexico and interacts with the storm system in a way that keeps it hugging the East Coast. In the days leading up to Christmas, a huge snowstorm will likely impact these areas being highlighted in pink. However, if the cold air and jet stream pattern is a little bit more reserved,
that's crazy.
everything
So
will be a
it's
tad bit
so
farther north,
apparently
meaning that this pink zone would
the
actually
cold
be
air
the
is gonna,
hardest hit
like,
area
it's
in terms
supposed to
of
hit
snow.
further
Right
south.
now, the European model shows the cold air and snow working over the Rockies on Tuesday into Wednesday, and that leads to a big field of snow that eventually develops on Thursday in the Midwest. And
So
as
if
the
you
storm
live
gets
in,
bigger,
like,
the cold front progresses the snow into the
if you
Ohio
live
Valley,
in, like,
and
the
this
South,
huge area of cold air does
I
eventually
guess
reach
it's
the East
expected
Coast
to
and
be-
even as far
it's
south as
ex-
Florida.
it's
But the energy
expected
gets
to
intensely
be a
wrapped
little
around the
colder
low,
there, huh?
favoring
A
the
little cooler
northern
there.
side of the storm for the biggest snow totals. This
in
leads
the
to
next
our
couple
blizzard and
days.
snowstorm being focused on the Great Lakes region, with, according to this one model, some places in Michigan and Wisconsin are going to get over a foot of snow. Now, the
Dang.
GFS is more southern and slower with the energy overall. This shows snow in
A
Oklahoma
foot
on
of snow
Thursday and a big
in, like,
snowstorm
Michigan
for a
and
lot of people
Wisconsin?
east
That's
of the
crazy,
Mississippi
bro.
River through Christmas Eve. And according to this model, heavy snowpack could be on the ground from
Sheesh.
portions of Arkansas through Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and maybe even up into the interior northeast on Christmas morning. Some models are still showing a more eastward progression given snow to the coastal cities, but most favor a more north and west track right now. With all that being said, this pattern overall reminds me a lot of the blizzard of 1978. That storm battered the Ohio Valley and Great Lakes regions with what is now known as one of the most severe blizzards in U.S. history. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be a repeat of that, but it does favor the Midwest and Ohio Valley over an East Coast snowstorm. It's very important to remember that we are still several days away from this actually happening, so there's a lot of moving parts and many things can and will change. But I promise you this, someone is going to get a massive Christmas time blizzard, and even more of you are going to see just a brutally cold Christmas overall. If you end up being in one of those groups, the smartest thing to do is to prepare now. You can do that by doing any last minute Christmas shopping before the Arctic air arrives. Go ahead and gas up the generator and just make sure that you're ready for the worst. And of course,
Hey.
we can't forget the most important thing, get yourself a Yalameter 2.0 from shopryanhall.com. We all know that no matter where it hits, while this snowstorm is going on, Ryan Hall is going to be live on YouTube. And during the live stream, I want to compile the biggest user-submitted snow report database ever. We can actually do this if you guys send in your snow reports by taking pictures of your Yalameters in the snow. To encourage this, we're going to pick someone who sent in a snow report, and at the end of the stream, just give them $1,000. That's right, I'm going to give
big
people
bucks.
$1,000 just for sending me pictures of snow. And I'm not just going to do this for this upcoming storm. I'm going to do it for every snowstorm this season. So if you want to have the best snow pick on the block and have a shot at winning $1,000, go to shopryanhall.com right now and buy a new Yalameter 2.0
You really
today.
snuck
Now,
that
we're getting
little
awfully daggone
advertisement
close to the
in-
holiday, so I can't really
in the
promise that
video.
it's going to get there before Christmas. It just depends on how
Where's
many
that
are
right
sold
now?
during this promotion, but I promise we're going to try our best, and if you order soon, there's a good chance it'll get there just in time.
Bro, is there
Nevertheless,
any
in the
more
future, there will
information
be more
about the weather?
snowstorms, and you're going to be wishing you had a Yalameter for all of them if you don't get one right now.
Or is
This
he
is one of the
done?
best ways you can support me, the channel, the team, and everything that goes on in
I
Ryan
think-
Hall
I think
Y'all
he's
world.
done.
If you've ever wanted to support us before,
Sorry, y'all. I think he's done. Hey, but that's interesting. So that's interesting to know. I just saw this title. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna check it out. That's pretty interesting. I'm looking at some of the comments right now. As an Arizonan, I feel incredibly sad every time I see the cold just barely miss Arizona. Though I'm sure I would not be as excited if I really had to face a storm like that. Sorry, y'all. There's some jets going over my house. Oh wow, a weatherman that actually knows how weather works and isn't just saying out loud what the weather app is saying. Okay, so that's really what I wanted to know, because I've never checked this guy out before, so I wanted to know, like, and I'm looking at the comments from that one comment. I mean, his reasoning seemed pretty good. I just wanted to know, like, how legit is this channel and this prediction that he's making, because this is pretty interesting. But let me know what you guys thought about this video. I guess try staying warm in the next few days, y'all. I mean, it's Christmas time, snow and all that, snowstorms and all that usually comes around this time. So yeah, just be ready and stay warm and enjoy the holidays, y'all.